To save your PowerPoint file as images, go to the File menu, go to Save As, and change the file extension. Change the file extension to PNG or another relevant format. We'll click Save. It will ask which slides do you want to export. We're going to say all slides. And this will actually put them in its own folder. So that's great. We've got those ready to go. If we head over to OBS Studio, you can see that we've got our scene ready to go. I might even just take myself out of this frame for the moment. What we're going to do is we're going to actually add some image slideshows to our scene. And just to show you some of the things that we can actually do here, I'm going to get rid of this one as well. We're going to talk about that in a moment. So if we go down to add a new source in our sources doc and we go to image slideshow, we can actually create an image slideshow, as the name suggests. What we're going to do, we're going to actually create 3 image slideshows on this particular slide. And we're going to have one that's a PowerPoint presentation, one that's an animated background, and one that's for promotional messages. So let's add the background slideshow here first. So give it a name, make sure it's a meaningful name, click OK. And we've got all our settings here. So I'll talk about some of these settings, but let's go and grab our images first. So if we go down to where it says image files, you see we've got the ability to add our files, and we can add individual files or we can add an entire directory. In this case, I'm going to add my files and I'm going to go to my backgrounds and I'm going to just select all of those and go open. Okay, so we've got our images here ready to go. Let's explore some of these other settings. So first of all, we've got the visibility settings. So we've got always play even when not visible, stop when not visible, restart when visible, pause when not visible, and unpause when visible. For this particular example, let's actually just go stop when not visible. It's not particularly important where this starts or stops if we do change it. We do want to actually make sure we have this automatic slide mode on. So the 2 slide modes that we have here are automatic or manual. And for manual, you can actually use the hotkeys to control the slideshow. We've got a number of different transition options here. So we can choose a cut, which will be quite dramatic. We can have things like swipe and slide as well. But I think for our backgrounds, because we want something that's kind of subtle, let's just go with fade. And we have our time between slides and our transition speeds. Both of these are described in milliseconds. And I think really, let's make this fairly long. And we'll even make our transition speed a bit longer as well. Just to make this a little bit more subtle. So we've got the ability to loop. We can hide it when it's done, or we can randomize the playback. But I think those are fine for the moment. So we've got our background here. It's really important that we actually move it to the bottom of our stack here. So I can drag and drop that into position, or I can use these up and down arrows to do that as well. If you do want to actually include a little bit more visual separation, we can actually come in here and create a color source. So if we go down to the add a new source, go to color source, and I will call this one tint. And here we can go into select color. And probably what I'd recommend here, because we do want to create a bit of visual separation, is to either have a white or a black. In this case, I'm going to go with black. But we want to introduce a little bit of transparency here as well. So if you see where we've got the alpha channel, at the moment it's set to 255, which means totally opaque. If we make this anything less than this, it'll be transparent. If we go down to 0, it'll be completely transparent. I think what we might do, let's try 180 as our alpha channel, and we'll go OK, and we'll go OK. And you'll already see that this has sort of made this a little bit darker. Again, if we drag that sort of underneath the rest of the elements in our scene, and if I click the eye icon, you can see sort of the difference that's made. So if I put myself back on camera, you can see that there's a little bit more visual separation between me and the background now. And obviously you can tweak that however you like. But let's go and actually add in our slideshow. So again, if you've got something like an actual PowerPoint presentation, you've saved that as images, we can certainly add that in here as well. Let's go down to add a new source, go to image slideshow. I'm just going to call this one PowerPoint slideshow and go OK. And again, we'll revisit these other settings in a moment, but let's go and find our files. I've exported these out of PowerPoint so I can add the whole directory. So we'll go to add directory. And I just want to go up a level, and the one we want is called Optimize Your YouTube Channel. Okay, so we've got this here. Because this is actually something that we want to work with, we don't really want this one to change automatically. But before we get there, let's actually just think about what kind of transition we'd like. So maybe slide or swipe. I think swipe is pretty good. In this case, because I might want to turn this off for a moment just to make a point, I'm actually going to pause it when not visible and then unpause it when visible. But again, let's change that to manual. So with manual, we can actually go and change the slide we're on either via our mouse or via our keyboard shortcuts, which I'll show you in a second. So from here, all those options look okay. I'm going to go okay to just add that to here. Again, if I want to resize that, I can sort of grab the corners and I can sort of reposition that wherever I want it to be. And you'll see that while this PowerPoint slideshow is actually got focus, I can go to the next slide, or I can go to the previous slide. And that's certainly one way that we can actually change this, but let me show you another one. So we can actually set up these keyboard shortcuts. So if we go up to the File menu and select our settings, and if we go to the Hotkeys section, the best way I found to actually filter for this, because this will give you every option in OBS Studio, is actually to search for the word Next. And again, we want to look for the keyboard shortcut associated with the PowerPoint slideshow. So if I click into this box, and I maybe press the right cursor key, I can do that one. And again, if I repeat that by filtering for previous, if I can type, we can go here and maybe go left. And I can go okay. And now, even when that's not actually got focus, I can sort of go right or left and go through my slides in that way. Okay, so finally, let's actually add some promotional messages at the bottom of our screen. Again, let's go in and grab our images for our image slideshow. So I'm going to add the image slideshow source there again. We'll call this one Promotional Slideshow and go okay. And again, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add my files. And these are the ones in the banners section. So the first thing you'll notice about this is I have 4 separate files, and 2 of them are actually banners and 2 of them are completely transparent PNGs. This is so I have a bit of separation between actually having messages on screen. I'm going to click OK, and we can see that these this is sort of already taking up almost the entire screen. So if I right click on this one, it'll bring up a contextual menu. I go to transform and I'll go to fit to screen, which is Control F. And again, I might want to actually just sort of drag this down. It is a little bit harder to actually make these changes when it is transparent. But again, I'm just going to take a guess at how large I want this to be and just drag those edges in. And another handy thing is if I want to make sure this is actually centered within the frame, I can right click and I can go to transform and I can go to center horizontally. So there I've got my elements. I might need to think about how I'm actually stacking some of these things, but essentially, if I bring myself back in here, I can address the camera. I can talk about whatever I'm talking about. I can actually use my keyboard shortcuts to go between my slides and just address those as we go. Another really great thing to do though is to actually create some buttons on your Stream Deck to move within your presentation. So again, I've kind of already done this, but let's redo it for the purposes of today's video. Again, just open up the Stream Deck software. From the system options, we want to find hotkey, drag it onto an empty spot within your timeline and give that one a title. I will call this one next. I will click into the hotkey section and I will click the right arrow because that's the keyboard shortcut I gave it. And again, I can repeat that process for the previous key as well. So we might just abbreviate it to that. Click in here and press left. So now if I go back here, I can actually physically move to the next slide via my Stream Deck. So those are a few things, a few different ways that you can use the image slideshow. So obviously we're probably all quite used to having a static PowerPoint on the screen, but there are also those automated options as well. And they can be really useful in terms of creating some interest on screen that you don't actually need to press any buttons to make happen. So I hope that's helpful. Just a reminder, if you want more OBS Studio tips, remember to hit that subscribe button.